Hello everyone, myself I am B. Srikar from Information Technology branch of IIT College. Today I am going to explain a topic from the Web System Engineering subject, and our title is Job Application Form System. How we are going to create a job application form, and how what are the technologies used in this job application form system, and how we are going approach to fulfill these the objectives of job application form system. Okay, and let us go into the topic. Problem statement. Okay, what is the, before going to the objectives, what are the problems we are facing in traditional recruitment systems? Okay, and traditional recruitment systems rely heavily on manual processing and paper based forms. Okay, let us describe one thing. For example, we have a resume submission forms. For example, we have to submit the resume to the certain person. uh, if we give the thousands of resumes, it is hard to maintain and it is time taking process. If we create a web application or user interface to upload a resume, it is easier. Okay, and it will be less time consumption to complete the work. Okay, and and traditional recruitment systems have leads to data redundancy and duplication of data and high processing time, human errors in data handling, lack of centralized tracking system for applicants. Organizations needs a scalable, secure, and automated web-based solution. So this leads to our project or title, a problem statement. Okay, and our current slide is, okay. What are the objectives of Java application form system? To develop a responsive Java application form UI, perform real-time validation using JavaScript, which uses logic, okay, and store application data temporarily using browser storage, which means local storage, okay, and provide smooth and interactive user experience. If the user experience is not good, the entire logic and it will be wasted. So we have to create a responsive UI, okay, and it should be real time. Okay, real time validation using JavaScript. Okay, these are the objectives of our Java application form system, and our current slide is technologies used. What are the technologies used in the Java application form system? Means HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript. Okay, and form structure and input fields are taken from the HTML. As we know, the text will be added in the HTML, and CSS layout and responsiveness and styling. Everything will be done in CSS, and the logic, entire logic will be JavaScript, which means form validation, event handling, and data storage, which is stored in local storage. Okay, and our next slide is architecture. How the Java application form architecture will be. Okay, single tier architecture, which means only front end, and components, user interface, basically form, and script logic. Okay, script logic means which is by using JavaScript we can build a logic, and browser storage, it will be stored in local storage for temporarily, and flow. How the flow means, user gives input and it will be validated from the web, and it will be stored in the local storage, and it is displayed to the user. Okay, and our next slide is about functional requirements. What are the functional requirements? Which means it should be working on the web. Okay, it can be seen. uh, User enter details, name, email, phone, education details, skills, and he or she will be upload resume, file will be inputted in UA only, okay, and it will submit form, submit button will be there, and it will take the form and display confirmation message from JavaScript. It will be sent alert from the top pop-up, and it stores data locally, okay. And our next slide is non-functional requirements. Non-functional requirements, it is used to responsiveness of the web system, okay. Fast execution, no server delay, responsive design, mobile plus desktop, which means it should be compatible in mobile and also in desktop, okay, and it should be user friendly interface, and it should be input validation accuracy, and lightweight application. Lightweight applications, why means not every user cannot purchase or afford a well and fast systems. So we have to develop a lightweight application so that every user can use our application. So, and our next slide is about form design, and what are the inputs fields in the form design means text as a name and email and phone number, drop down for qualifications, and text area skills, and file upload button for resume UI simulation, and submit and reset buttons. These are the form design components in form, okay. And our next slide is validation techniques. How the validation will be done means require field validation, email format validation, and phone number length check, prevent empty submissions, display error message dynamically, okay. And our next slide is how the JavaScript logic will be worked, okay. Event listeners for form submission, it will prevent default submission behavior, validate inputs before processing, convert data into object format, and it will store into the local storage, okay. Which means the JavaScript logic contains mainly five event listeners for form submissions, and prevent default submission behavior, and mainly it will validate inputs before processing, and it will convert data into object format, and it will store using local storage. And our next slide is local storage uses. What is the usage of local storage usage, okay. It will stores data in browser as key value pairs, like every key has a value. It will store the data in local storage, and data persists even after refresh, which means data will be stored even we refresh the web browser, okay. Until we close the web application, the data will be stored, okay, in the local web browser. Example how we will implement local storage means in JavaScript we have syntax like local storage dot set wait a minute, set item in the brackets, we have to store the data, okay. JSON, here it is stringify data, okay, it will be stored data. And to retrieve the data we have syntax json dot parse local storage dot get item application, okay. And our next slide is workflow. How the workflow will be done in our Java application form system means user open application form and enter details, JavaScript validate inputs, data stored in local storage, confirmation displayed. Very simple, responsive design and easy process. It will decrease the time consumption, and everything will be easy. Very simple. See, user opens application form and enter details, and in the background, the JavaScript validates the inputs, and data will be stored in the local storage, and the message will be displayed from JavaScript, sorry. And our next slide is Conclusion and future scope. If we successfully developed a front-end based job application system, demonstrate core concept of web system engineering, and provides interactive and user-friendly interface. And in the future, if we integrate backend Node.js or Java, we can add databases and implement authentication system, enable real-time job tracking. Everything, if it works perfectly, we can also implement. We can add database in the backend, and we can enable the real-time job tracking. Okay. And our next slide is thank you. I hope you understand the session. Thank you.